The whole family signed up for this outlaw as well. My wife's doing it, 3 daughters are doing it, their boyfriends are doing it.
That'll be good. We've got loads of the squad going up there actually as well,
Right.
so it should be a good day. Right, that's recording. Okay, so this is recording the screen, and it'll record everything that we say as well.
Okay.
So this is what you'll get sent a download link to tomorrow. So don't try and, whatever I say now, don't try and remember it, because you'll get a copy of this anyway.
Okay.
Just kind of go with it. Go with it for now.
Sure.
All right. So you've never had your stroke looked at on video before.
No.
Okay. So what do you think? What do you think your issues are? If you were to name the kind of 1 or 2 biggies that you think you need to work on.
There was my kick. My kick doesn't exist. I just explain it. Sometimes it's there. I think if someone put me in a length race with someone, I'd get it in. But I'm probably so busy just trying to get the feel for it. I'm trying to get. Probably it's hard to say. Maybe I overthink it because I've timed it and tried things.
Yeah.
So I've tried more roll, and that was good. Because that could be one of the things I forget to do on the day. I can go to a training session and go, oh damn it, I forgot to do that.
Yeah.
But then I'm trying to keep my elbow up and do this, and I'm going to keep that down and push this and pull my hip out. So like you say, it's a bit mechanical at the moment, but I'm trying to make it less so just by swimming more.
Well, to be honest with you, volume in swimming is so important.
Yeah.
It's so important. You can achieve so much through just pure swimming.
Yeah.
Even if you've got a bad stroke, if you've got the strength, the fitness to maintain a good turnover, you'll be able to go back. It's like when blokes, I always think about blokes, but women are the same.
Yeah.
If you say to any guy, even if they're not the best swimmer in the world, right, swim a length flat out, they can get down there pretty damn quick.
Yeah.
The only thing that's stopping them doing it over 2 lengths or 10 lengths or 100 lengths is their fitness and their strength ability to carry that on.
And maybe that's where I'm forcing it as I get a bit longer.
Yeah.
I do see it when I'm on my times. I look at 1K and I can see the first 500-600 are pretty steady, and then I suppose naturally it rolls off.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
all right. Well, let's have a look.
All right.
Obviously, the first thing I have first impressions when I see people swim, and the first thing I thought was positive.
Right.
I
tried to relax.
I didn't time that, but I mean, I'll have the time on here actually. But you look like you were moving through the water quite nicely. Your heels were breaking the surface occasionally, so I know your body position isn't too bad. Your head position didn't look too bad in kind of real speed. We'll have to slow it down in a minute. You're breathing just to the one side.
Yeah, I tried the other side, but I just
struggle with it a little bit.
But it's an ongoing, it's work in progress.
Okay, I'll talk to you about that in a second as well. So I'm not too concerned about bilateral breathing for some people, and you're one of them. I don't think it's a big deal for you. The kick. We'll have a closer look at the kick in a minute. I haven't got a concern about the kick. Kick for the vast majority of age groupers, and particularly people who are going longer, is more about making sure that you just have a little bit of rhythm to the stroke and balancing on the stroke. It's not about propulsion. Don't think that your kick is about propulsion, because it's not. If you were Michael Phelps doing a 100-metre sprint, then it would be, but you're not. So your kick, what we look at with kicks is really just so we make sure that the kick isn't so bad that it actually creates drag and pulls you back.
Yeah.
If you've got a big bend in the knee, it can be like a parachute being in the back, dragging you back. So that's when we look at the kick and tune up the kick so people know how to kick effectively. Yeah. But it's not for propulsion, it's just purely for balance.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the next thing that kind of struck me was what you're doing with your arms and the recovery, and the catch, the beginning part of the catch, the front of the stroke. And it's probably easiest if we explain it as we go through the video here. Now, you do crossover.
I do.
You do crossover, Or it's not really so much a crossover, but the hands, it's the way the hands are coming. I'll show you on here obviously in a minute, but the recovery, you're setting, what's the best way to explain it? To have a good catch underneath the water, you need to set the catch upright. So you need to set it up so that your hands enter the water and allow you to take that catch without any kind of delays at the front. If you have a tendency to come over towards the centre line, which you do, you've then got to get that hand from there down there like that. So what you're doing is you're coming in and then you're slicing out wide and then you're taking the catch. So that is a big dead spot at the front of the stroke.
Yeah. But
Okay.
I'd never thought I was doing that.
Well, we'll show you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, yeah.
So yeah, and that's people's perception of their own stroke is often way out, because it's so difficult. You think you're doing one thing, and the reality is, or you think your arm is here, but because you're breathing away, for example, the arm actually very often ends up wide out. So let's have a look.
Because I'm not compensated from a roll or something.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
okay. So let's.
Oh, right. Disappointing, but good as well.
Well, it's
We've caught it.
something meaty that we can get stuck into. I
Yeah.
just think that's a positive thing. So this is a poolside view, standard kind of poolside coach's view. So what I look at from this angle is a few things. So I look at the head position.
Yeah.
How high is the head?
That's too high.
Now,
Yeah.
well, it's not too bad. I mean, if you look at where the actual surface of the water is, the kind of surface of the water is kind of there somewhere. This is actually a little dip which is being caused by your forehead there. We can see one goggle below the surface of the water, below the level of the water, and one goggle just above it. I'm not too concerned about that head position. It actually looks all right. We've got bigger fish to fry, to be honest. So
Okay.
we'll look elsewhere.
Yeah.
I think next time we can look at the head position a bit more closely and do some tweaking.
Yeah.
But I think we've got other things that we can work on for now. So the next thing I look at is the recovery of the arm over the water. So what's the arm doing? Now, the best way for me to explain this.
That's another one I get stuck because I see whether I should trail it through or lump it over.
Okay, so good question. So this, have you seen this animation at all?
No.
You can actually download this.
Alright.
It's a Swim Smooth.
Yeah.
This will be recorded on the screen, so you'll be able to see it. It's Mr. Smooth Pro.
Yeah.
And I think it's free actually. I think it's a free download. You can just put it on your phone or your computer or whatever. And it allows you to look at different swim strokes, different swim types of front crawl.
Yeah.
So we've got the two main types of front crawl here.
Yeah.
So the way we look at it is we have a smooth stroke, what we call a smooth stroke, which is more like a classic pool swimmer. So if we look from above and slow it down, so the elbow is really high. The elbow is really high, look, vertical. And the hand, swings through underneath like a pendulum.
Yeah.
Swings through underneath and spears in front of the shoulder, pretty much in front of the shoulder. Okay. Extends forward just as he rolls, extends forward a little bit, and then starts the catch underneath the water. Okay. You have a look at the catch underneath the water. Nice high elbow, vertical forearm, turning this whole part of the arm here into a paddle.
Yeah.
And then the same on the other side. So the arm swinging through underneath the elbow.
Is he about 45 degrees at about maximum roll there?
Yeah, so it's 45 to 60 degrees is the ideal kind of roll.
Okay.
Okay, so you can have a look head on there.
Oh, wow, that's nice, isn't it?
So I guess that's about maybe there, look.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it is 45 to 60 degrees, somewhere there.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a pool swimmer. That's generally people who have swum from a kid and they've been competitive swimmers, and well, you're not one of those.
No.
Okay, I'm not one of those. None of these guys are one of those. It takes donkey's years of training, and you can see all of our swimmers. Look at the recovery on Grant there with the gold cap.
Yeah.
Really high sweeping arm recovery.
Yeah.
Anita there, behind there as well. So we go to this one. This is what we call the swinging type of stroke. You look at her recovery. Look how wide it is.
Yeah.
Swinging right around the outside.
Yeah.
But what I'm showing you here is at the same as the other guy, at the midpoint, when the elbow is at the highest point, the hand is still behind the elbow.
Right.
Okay, and there's a reason for me showing this in a second. the hand then overtakes the elbow at the highest point, swings around the outside edge, and actually enters the water. Look how wide it enters the water.
Yes.
2 o'clock, right out there.
Yeah.
She's still rotated, and as she rolls flat, that's when she reaches full extension. But it's still the same place as it was on the other chap.
Yeah.
The hand finishes in the same place. It's just a different type of recovery and hand entry.
Yeah.
And then everything else is the same.
Yeah, I
So
need to
the
look
catch.
at that for a bit. That's just,
Now look at her kick.
yeah.
2 beat, just not doing much.
Yeah.
And this is more of a triathlete stroke.
Yeah.
It's a higher turnover, more of a swinging type of stroke. It gives you more stability in the open
So
water.
she kind of goes in about 2 o'clock and then rolls it forwards.
That's it.
Yeah.
So you're almost kind of coming in this way, 2 o'clock, and then as you roll flat, you reach in front of the shoulder, you reach that point, and then you just push straight down.
Okay.
Okay? Now, painting the picture. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
So painting the scene. So, and this is really important for you because what you're doing here is you've got a nice high elbow. In fact, it's not too bad actually. You're kind of looking at the hand and what the hand's doing. You've got a big bend in the arm. So you're not swinging through like a pendulum and you're not coming right the way round straight. You're kind of in the middle and then the arm is kind of, you've got a big bend in the arm and the hand is whipping around the side.
My thing is from yesterday, I was told I was coming in. My thought there is that I'm concentrating on. Yesterday I was caught. I put the paddles on, and I said I was coming in flat on the top, and I was to go down. So I'm consciously there. So I've forgotten. As I was saying, I've forgotten about that part. I'm thinking spearing something, but I take the point. Yeah.
Yeah. So this big bend in the arm
Get rid
here.
of that.
The impacts of that. I'll show you from above. Is that the hand is actually heading sideways.
Yeah.
The hand is actually heading that way.
Jesus.
It spears in front of the shoulder actually, but then what happens as you
Sort of
breathe
scoot back.
is it goes sideways,
Yeah.
slides out sideways. We'll have a look underneath the water at the moment. And on the right hand side, you're kind of a little bit over rotated there as well. You're almost too far on your side. In fact, what's happening there is you see your shoulders are almost vertical in the water, but your hips aren't.
Yeah.
So there's a disconnect between your upper body and your legs, sorry, your hips. So you should rotate like you're on a spit.
Yeah.
The whole body moves. So we've got a little bit of a disconnection.
That's quite good in a way, but a little bit disappointing.
That's what you're here for, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
So on the right side then,
Oh yeah.
same kind of thing. It's getting thrown over the top, and there's that.
So that should be over there at least.
Yeah, so if we just take that back a tiny bit, get rid of those.
God.
So what I'm suggesting to you is that we need to get you to swing these arms around this a little bit more and enter over here somewhere.
Yeah.
And the same on this side, enter over here. Because at the moment you're entering
It's a disaster, isn't it?
down here. So and then it's a case of slicing in, because if you think about it, one way good place to think about this is the power in your stroke comes from your body roll. It doesn't come from your arms.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like a boxer or a tennis player uses their body to generate the power.
Yeah.
It's not, it's a bit like you wouldn't get a boxer who just stands and moves his arms. They wouldn't have any strength, any power in the stroke. So you've got to think your arm is going to swing around. It's why it's like discus throwers.
Yeah.
They have a straight arm because the fastest point is at the end of that straight arm.
Yeah.
And we're going to slice in sideways at the front of the stroke. Because that velocity is going to force it in the water and force it into the right position where you then take your catch. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just can't work out how I'm going to do it.
I think once you get used, once we've done it a few times, it'll actually feel quite natural.
Okay.
You actually feel quite natural. Let's take it back a little bit. Let's get rid of these. So that's what's happening on the recovery then. We need to get rid of that big bend in the elbow, and you're kind of coming around the side. You're doing a swinging type recovery, and then you're trying to spear in like a smooth.
Yeah, I've got a cocktail of stuff there, haven't I?
Yeah, you're kind of in between a bit of
I
both.
think that would actually be accurate with where I am. I'm not sure what I'm doing with it.
So we need to get you to decide which way are we going to go.
Yeah.
You're not going to be a smooth.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. We just don't get them. Don't get them.
Yeah.
We're going to go for a swinging style of stroke.
Yeah. And sometimes some swims I'll go when I'm thinking it. I'm thinking arm this time, but I wouldn't say I was necessarily putting it in the right place in the water. It's just sometimes it runs through.
Yeah.
Just some backbone of that one.
Yeah. Well, let's have a look underneath the water here. So I'm looking at your legs just in terms of.
Oh gosh.
Now, your body position is actually pretty damn good, you know. Your bum's on the surface. I told you that your heels were breaking the surface when you were swimming. That is really good. You're actually considering, we'll come to the front end in a minute, considering you're not getting the traction and the propulsion that you should be because of what we're talking about, you've got really good natural body position. So if we can get some traction and some propulsion at the front end, you should go much better.
Oh, brilliant.
I'm just looking at the legs here. Now, see how your leg is completely extended there. Your ankle is extended, so it's nice and straight. That's what we want.
Yeah.
That's what we want. So it's almost going to be.
I almost try and minimise the damage back there by just
point your toes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just point your toes. But if you have a look at what happens as you start to kick, this here.
God, that's awful.
They're like little anchors.
Yeah.
They will pull you back.
I never would believe that I was doing that. I'm so conscious of.
Yeah. So the way that would almost be a separate thing for you to think about.
Yeah.
Just every other set, just think, right, all I'm going to do this time is I'm going to think about really pointing my toes.
Yeah.
And when you kick, the big toes just gently tap each other.
Okay.
Point the toes, and then you know your legs are together because they're tapping.
Yeah.
And just keep those toes pointed
Okay.
because we'll do a little demo and I'll show you how much difference it makes if you don't point your toes. But we can see that you can because there's points in there where it's nice and straight. So we know you've got the flexibility in your ankles. Looks like your right is less flexible than your left. And it's just that little kick up here.
Yeah, I'm not really. It's not really a conscious thing back there, but I thought I was pointing my toes. So even that's.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
It's not too bad. But apart from that, your kick is okay. Your kick is okay. You're kicking from the hips. It's a little bit split, but it's splitting because of what's happening at the front end.
Yeah.
So your legs ultimately, all they do is they balance up what's happening at the front. All right. So we're going to have a look at the front now, which is where we've got the big wins to come. So. Okay, so let's have a look at the right-hand side first of all. Do you think you hold your breath? You might hold your breath a little bit. I'll have a look at that as well. So here's this hand, because it's coming in at the wrong place, the wrong angle, it's coming straight down there, and then you can see it kind of goes like that.
Yeah.
So what we're looking for here is when does this hand actually start to generate some propulsion? So we extend out.
Yeah.
In fact, we'll do it. So 13.19 seconds. When does it actually start to generate? Let's say propulsion. We're looking for it to actually push some water that way. So 13.19 seconds. It's hanging there, hanging there, hanging there, hanging there, hanging there. The elbow's starting to drop, but it's coming through quite straight rather than going like that and then pushing back. It's pulling through straight.
Oh.
So maybe down here somewhere you're actually starting to push some water, I don't know, that way.
Yeah. That's disappointing because that was a conscious thing. We're doing that, but it's not happening.
Right. Trying to get over the top.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll have a look at that second. So almost half a second.
Yeah.
And every single stroke, it's not really doing very much. In fact, it's longer than that because by the time the pointer enters the water, there, it goes like all the way down. So about 3/4 of a second from when it enters the water to when it actually starts generating some propulsion.
Yeah.
So if I just show you, just for your visualization purposes, if I show you
I would say that's another one that I struggle with. Sometimes I'm not sure. When you see on the YouTube, you see people sort of flying a bit longer and then bring it back, and then you see some, or I try and do it a bit quicker, and that's maybe that I've subconsciously found I've gone quicker by flying longer than.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If I try and sustain the
glide.
And as opposed to getting it back quickly, sometimes I found I've actually gone quicker just in the watch, just by gliding just a bit. So maybe that's a hangover from that. Get rid of that.
Yeah. Oh well, I want you to try this, the kind of the new type of stroke.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
see how that works for you.
No, I'm fully signed up. So,
Okay. So just to show you this is Rebecca Adlington, who's a smooth type of stroke. But what I'm trying to show you here is what this high elbow catch should look like. So what you can see here is when she's extending, that the wrist is just, let's see the fingertips just start to go.
Yeah.
And she's starting to start that chain reaction.
Yeah.
And now that takes, imagine how much flexibility that takes to be able to look away and still behind the water and get over the top of the stroke. Takes a huge amount of flexibility, which is why you won't be able to do that. So what you would do is you would do that deeper. You would spear in deeper, because best way of explaining this, if you haven't got good flexibility in your shoulders, so imagine this is the water. I'm swimming through the water. If I lift my shoulders up here, now I'm not very flexible across the shoulders. What the ideal position to be in front of the catch is fingertips below wrist, below elbow. Yeah. Okay? Like that. So as soon as I lift my elbows, as soon as I lift my arms up, it gets to the point where there's a restriction in my shoulders. I can feel the tightness in my shoulders already. And what happens is the elbow stops moving and the hand starts to come up. Okay? So the point I'm making is you need to, or I would need to steer in to that kind of depth.
See, I can feel that because I'm not sure what it is.
So you have a go. So lift put it back against. Just put it back against the water. So lift your arms up, straight above your head. Above the elbow, so you've got that point. So it's the point when you start to feel the restriction, the elbow moves.
Yeah, I just don't get the feel for it. Yeah.
So you would steer maybe 12 feet.
Yeah.
Because if you're coming too low, then you have to drop the elbow because you have the flexibility and strong to allow you to do that. And then when you put the elbow, you put
I see. So
you start to expand.
the key thing is that
Yeah, so you've got to come in with a deeper, and then you get over the catch, not taking a deeper catch. Turnover goes up there. Alright, don't try and, I can see you're a bit thicker.
no, but it's one of those things I've seen these things on YouTube, and I thought I was doing it,
Right.
but I'm not. No,
Yeah.
you're doing it.
Yeah, so let's
That's why I was trying to get the feel for it, what I'm not doing, but I can see it.
yeah, so she's really flexible. She can get a really high entry and catch the water really high. You would need to catch it a bit lower than that.
Yeah.
And I would need to catch
I
it
see.
lower.
Just to enable that, I need to be lower.
Yeah, because that elbow, the elbow should always be pointing out when you swim,
Yeah.
never down.
Yeah.
You can't take a catch that way. So the elbow has to always be out,
Yeah.
because you need to be able to push straight down.
Yeah.
So sometimes just when you're swimming, just think about someone next to you, you want to elbow them or something, because
Yeah.
that's where your elbows should be. Very often people will swim like that,
Yeah.
and you can't bend your arm that way. You can't possibly get into a catch. You can't do that if your elbow's in the way. It doesn't bend that way.
Yeah.
So you've got to rotate out and push down. So what I was actually trying to get to show you was that the elbow stays high. There's a better angle in a minute with this.
So when you say high, you kind of mean forward.
The elbow stays up. Stays up. So here, see if you look how much the elbow moves at that point.
So
imagine you kind
of... That's the height there as opposed to that, that height.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
So the elbow almost doesn't move. See? Just the forearm goes, Now she's got this whacking great big paddle.
So that just swoops.
Yeah. And we call it place, press, push. Place the hand in, press down, push back.
Yeah.
In, and that's exactly what I'm going to get you to try and do today. Okay. Is it's going to be, so place the hand in, press down, push back, like that. Because at the moment what you're doing is you're kind of coming in, sweeping out wide, and then dragging back.
Yeah. Okay. Don't forget that.
Yeah. But that's where your propulsion is.
Yeah.
And that's why I think these things are quite exciting, because with the body position you've got, if you can get that kind of traction, it'll be a completely different stroke.
I love some of that.
All right, so let's just whiz through this because we're spending a little bit too long doing this. Really, we want to get you back in the water. Okay. So. Same thing on the left-hand side. The hand is just kind of, the arm is just kind of, think about Rebecca Addington, what you just saw there. That arm is just kind of drifting downwards. It's not really doing much. There's no kind of positive catch there. It's just kind of
just sinking.
Slowly going, oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe when we get...
And I think that is what I'm thinking. I'm not sure what to do with it. I'm one of these...
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I'm doing.
Well, when you breathe if you breathe on one side, what I'm going to recommend you do is you almost think about having a stroke, a power arm and a support arm. So on the non-breathing side, that one extends out. Yeah. That's your platform for you to breathe on.
Yeah.
And then this arm is your power arm. That gets driven in, pushed down, and then driven back. So the strokes don't have to be symmetrical.
No.
As long as they're balanced, they don't have to be symmetrical.
Yeah.
So you would have a support arm, and then another arm coming over the top. It's going to be easier when we get you to do it in the water than trying to get your head around it while you're
So there's the timing a bit different as well.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, it can be. You might see some swimmers when you watch the Olympic Games, things like that. They're not all. It's not all beautifully timed. You might see. It's like sometimes it's like a do.
Yeah, exactly.
Do.
Yeah.
Do. It's the timing is like slightly out, but it's intentionally that way.
Yeah.
So, and this is the important thing: is understanding it doesn't have to be all nice and symmetrical and matchy. It can be a bit imbalanced if it's going to work the best way for it to work for you.
Yeah.
So. You can see you're trying to spear on the right, and then the left is kind of drifting because you're breathing on the opposite side.
What I'm consciously trying to do, I thought I was doing this, but I was trying to get this completely and this completely like that.
Yeah.
And then push from that platform there and then roll it out the back. That's what I think I'm doing.
Okay. Yeah. Do you use paddles?
I've started using them.
We'll have a look at those then,
because
paddles are really good for this, because paddles switch on your kind of proprioception, so your senses. It allows you to feel the water. So it's not so much for strength, it's more about actually feeling what's happening at the front end of the stroke. But we'll go through that today, and I'll show you what you need to be doing with those. So
I've used them once or twice, because I thought I've used, but I'm not sure what
Okay, all right, we'll have a look at those. So there we go. On the right hand side, we're kind of spearing in, as we've seen. The left hand side is just drifting down. Looks like you are breathing pretty well on the way out there, so I'm not going to work on the breathing today. I'm not going to worry about that. So your legs coming out of the water, so we know your body position is good. We've seen it from above.
Good.
And you can see the arms are just a bit kind of...
Yeah, and sometimes when I'm swimming, I'm conscious, I know I'm snaking.
Yeah.
And I think I can't be snaking because I'm doing all this or whatever. But
Yeah.
that's probably why I'm all over the.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you look at your spine, what happens to your spine? No, let's get back a bit. What you actually do is you look. It's actually not too bad. You're looking kind of backwards. You get this quite a lot. You're looking kind of that way, and that just puts a little bit of twist on the spine. Sometimes it's just a case of looking sideways.
Yeah, I think that's my current fashion. Is I've watched too many things this week on YouTube. I always have a fashionable thing.
Right.
At the moment, I'm thinking I must have got better on when I did some rolling. So now I'm rolling myself stupid.
You're rolling quite a long way over there at this point.
That's
Your legs are splitting, but that's only because that other arm is drifting down and you're losing stability in the water. I'm not too concerned about that because we're going to sort that
where
out.
did they start? That's the trouble, isn't it?
Right, let's just play this through and then see. But you've got a good tempo there. Very often we get swimmers, the stroke rate is really low, and that's a big problem. You can hold a good stroke rate, so I don't think you're going to have a problem with this at all on the way back. And here we can see really well that right arm coming in front of the head, and then elbow dropping, and then sweeping out, and then getting into the catch right down there. That angle isn't too bad. That angle isn't. It should be 100 to 120 degrees or thereabouts. That's probably about 130 or something, 125. Look, so it's a little bit wide. The strongest position is for that elbow. Sorry, it's for that hand.
So when you say it's a bit wide, what do you mean?
So that angle is a little bit big.
Wide that way. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So ideally,
so too far down then.
So we should be kind of. Oops. Oh, get rid of that. What am I doing? I've got the wrong tool.
Is that because this thing here is too low here?
You just need to pull through closer to the chest with the hand. So.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's a better one. Yeah.
So, there.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So
the hand is just closer in. It's a bit wide down, deeper.
Yes.
Because the strongest point for you to pull through would be directly below the chest. Directly below the shoulder, there.
But this is still horizontal, though this one.
Yeah.
But closer here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're pulling through. Think about the hands. The hands start the catch in front of the shoulder. They pull down and they pass beneath the shoulder as they pull through.
Okay.
Of course, you're rotating out of the way when you do that. So it's all in alignment with the shoulder.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Am I overcomplicating it?
No.
Okay.
It's just now I've got to.
All right.
It makes sense. It's just the reality is I'm just laughing at myself because I thought
you thought you were doing some of these
things. I
things.
was doing all right, which is actually it's probably
And there's the left just drifting down, and that's a big straight arm pull through. And you can see where that one is. It's right underneath the body with a straight arm.
All I'm doing now is reinforcing that because I thought that was all right.
Right. So. Yeah, I mean you can see that's quite a big angle there. And what happens then is you pull through from the shoulders. You're using the shoulder to pull through with because you've got a big lever there, and that's a much weaker muscle. You use your chest and your back if you pull through in the correct position. Yeah. So what we're going to do with
engage? That's the question. I try and do that, but I'm not sure how I should engage these lats more.
Yeah. So. We'll do that today actually. So let me go through what we'll do and it'll answer that question.
Yeah.
All right, so first of all we're going to get you to swim with some fins on.
Right.
Okay, because the fins just give you a bit of propulsion, allow you to think a bit more about what's happening at the front end of the stroke, which is where we're going to focus on.
I bought some fins, but I've never used them because didn't bring them here.
You've probably got the wrong fins anyway. Because we use the long fins.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah. So the short fins are kick fins. They're for kick training.
Okay.
We don't really use those. I don't think any of those guys have got them on.
The club had them, and when I did swim with them, I felt like I couldn't get a kick with them.
The long ones.
The long ones. I couldn't hardly. Well, you have to kick much. Maybe that's the idea of them.
No, exactly. You just kick a little bit, and then you get quite a lot of push for the little bit of effort.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's because that allows you to think about what's happening at the front end because you're getting the momentum from a low intensity kick almost.
Okay,
that's why we do it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't think those guys have got them on.
Yeah, I feel like I was cheating because there wasn't
No,
much energy.
no. We just think about we've got to get you to get the muscle memory and get you used to what's happening at the front end of the stroke.
Right. Yeah.
So we put the fins on,
Right.
and I'm simply going to get you to think about swinging the arms around the sides more. So it's going to feel really alien, like drawing big circles on the surface of the water with your arms as you recover.
Yeah. So my issue will be knowing where to bring it
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. Well, I will give you.
Yeah.
I'm just going to give you live feedback on
Okay,
that,
perfect.
so you know what it feels
good.
like.
Oh, good.
So you know what it feels like.
Yeah.
You're going to feel like you're swimming like an aeroplane with your arms out here. It's going to be so different to you.
Yeah.
But what I want you to go away with is to know what it feels like to be in the correct position, because it's
Yeah.
going to be quite alien.
Yeah. Exactly. That's why I want to map it a little bit.
Yeah. So imagine if we can get you to swing those arms around and start entering at about the right position.
Yeah.
Then the next thing to do is to get some paddles on you and actually think about when the hand enters the water. What we do is we pull the hand in towards the belly button. You think, drag it in towards the belly button, and what that does is it starts to create this shape at the front of the stroke.
Right.
And that is what becomes this vertical forearm for you to push back.
So does this come down the centre line?
Yeah,
So-
but you're rotating out the way at the same time.
Oh,
So you're not
yes.
actually pulling it to the belly button, because the belly button's going to be moving out the way.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's just a cue for you to, because people always know where their belly button is. They know where to aim for.
Yeah. No,
You
yes.
could do it for the hip, but their belly button's better.
Yeah.
And we'll also get you swimming up the black line, looking up and actually tuning into your stroke. You can actually you can self-check your own stroke.
Yeah.
Get your head up. There should be one hand one side of the black line and another hand the other side of the black line.
You'd laugh. I've been doing that a few times. Because quite often I get a lane to myself,
Yeah.
and I think I'll swim over this line, thinking, "Oh, I'm doing lovely. I'm doing lovely."
Well, you just need to get your
But
head
I'm
up
not
and have a
looking
look
in
at it.
I'm not looking in the right place. Am I?
Yeah. All right. That's all we're going to do for now. That's
Right.
all we're going to do for now.
Yeah.
So we're going to work on the recovery. So swinging those arms around the outside a little bit.
Right.
And then once we've got used to that, we're going to have a look and see how that affects you. It may well tidy up your catch straight away just by setting it up right.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Because that sounds like I'm just going straight into disaster recovery, aren't I? Or whatever I'm doing.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be a bit of a key change for you.
Yeah.
I certainly do, but I think it's what's going to work really well because you've
Right.
got the tempo. Everything else is good with your stroke. You just need to get some traction there.
Yeah.
All right. So that's all we're going to do for today, I think, because it's going to take us quite a while to get through that.
Okay.
Are you kind of understanding what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
All right. So let's get you in the water and let's have a go.
It's just making it